My stream setup has been a work in progress over the course of 3 to 4 years. Half the stuff I didn't even buy for streaming, I bought for YouTube videos or for a recording studio, and I've just repurposed it into streaming equipment. But streaming has come a long way in the past couple years. A lot of gear companies are starting to see the value in making products for the streaming market, whether it's entirely new devices like a Go XLR, or maybe they're tweaking their current devices for the streaming audience, like NVIDIA's new RTX GPU lineup and the new Turing architecture built into it. So what I really wanted to do is take all the new equipment that's been released in the last couple years, take a hard look at my streaming setup and say to myself, if I were to start from scratch today, what would be the streaming setup that I would build? Obviously some important stipends here. Budget is not an issue. This is my dream stream setup, what I think is the ultimate stream setup. Also being realistic, like let's not get a $5,000 PC, let's not get a $5,000 mic. Let's grab the stuff that's actually feasible and makes sense to buy. Also, the products have to be out on the market. This can't be dream products that I've made up in my head. What would that dream stream setup look like? Spoiler, it would look a little something like this. Welcome back to the Alpha Gaming channel. My name is Harris Heller. I am your stream doctor, and today we are going to be building 2019's world's greatest stream studio. Before we get started in this video, by the way, I'd like to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of the video, Lumi, who flew me out to New York to try their brand new product, which by the way, I absolutely loved. It's an RGB lit keyboard designed to fit into a backpack for mobility, and it connects to an app that teaches you how to actually play piano. You pick a song, the lights not only come down on the screen, but they actually light up the keys themselves, making this the perfect device for either learning how to play piano or anyone who wants to learn to play piano. The game gives you an either good or perfect or whatever score for each note that you hit, letting you know how well you're learning the song that you're playing. And then at the end it tallies up into a full score so you can see how well you're improving on said song. They're also completely modular, so we actually took two of these and we connected them together. They just magnetized right together and we got full 4 octaves of RGB lit keyboard, which was pretty dope. If you'd like to pick one up for fun or for learning or for streaming music, or even just you want to support the idea of making learning how to play a musical instrument easier for everyone, link to the Kickstarter down in the description below. But let's move on to the video. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday evening, so make sure you follow me on Twitch. Link in the description below. Dream stream. Let's do this. The first thing we need to do is lay out our streaming canvas, where everything's gonna go. Talking about the desk. I've been streaming with a motorized Flex-A-Spot standing desk ever since a couple months ago when I really injured my back, and I haven't been able to sit for longer than about an hour at a time. I've been really happy with it, but we're gonna be mounting a ton of stuff to this desk, including cameras. So a 4-leg motorized standing desk would be a much welcome upgrade here. You'll understand why when we get to the camera section. Then on top of those legs, any desktop that has an indented front as well as a full desktop mouse pad is gonna work great. My current one is from Arazi, however, Clutch Chairs has a desktop that's a little bit smoother on the front, not as many sharp edges. I've actually kind of cut myself on my desktop before. Not super vital to this build though. As far as the PCs go that are powering this entire stream, like I mentioned before, I mean, yeah, we could say Ryzen 9 3700X and 2080 Ti's in both PCs, but it's just unnecessary. I want to make this an actual realistic thing that I would spend my money on. If it were my money we were building this with. While I do think NVIDIA has made some pretty serious progress in the single PC professional stream setup area with their new Turing architecture encoders and the new NVENC encoder, I would still like to stick with a 2 PC setup for this. I like to really push the limits of what I can do with my streaming PC without worrying about dropping frames on the gaming side. So in the streaming PC, while I could probably get away with the new RTX 2060 Super, I mean, considering I'm only running a 1070 in my device right now, a 2060 Super is like double the power of a 1070. I would like to make sure this thing is just fully super proofed. I don't see any reason not to bump it up just to a 2070 Super. And since we're going to be encoding with NVENC, the CPU doesn't matter a ton. I could probably go with the Ryzen 5, but just to be safe, I think I'd probably go with the Ryzen 7, maybe the 2700X. In my gaming PC, I'm currently running a 1080 Ti. I'd probably bump that up to a 2080 Super. I could go with the 2080 Ti Ti, but for my gaming in 1440p, 144 hertz, I think that major price increase to the 2080 Ti, you're just gonna see some pretty serious diminishing returns for that investment. It'd just kind of be a waste of money for me. Couple that with a Ryzen 7 3700X, and I think we're sitting pretty with the gaming PC. You gotta save some of that money for the cameras and stuff that we'll get into in a little bit. We got a couple other components we're gonna talk about in the PCs, but I'll get into that when we get into cameras. So we got both these PCs mounted to the underside of this super fancy desk. What monitors are these PCs powering? Well, from the gaming PC, we're gonna be running 144 hertz, 1440p G-Sync monitor, similar to the one I'm gaming on now. I would really love to try out Asus's 4K 144 hertz G-Sync monitor and really just see what the difference is. So Asus, if you're listening, call me. And for the streaming PC, one of the things I'm in love with in terms of productivity stuff is ultra-wide monitors. So to the right of my gaming monitor, I'd want a 21:9 aspect ratio screen. This would show things like OBS, Discord, any other browser windows I need to have open. And on the left side, to the side of my desk, what I would love is a 32:9 curved monitor mounted vertically. This would fit obviously any other windows that I couldn't fit on my other monitor, but mostly this would be a gigantic chat window. Saw one of these guys at the Lenovo station at E3 and it was just insane. Both of these monitors are fine at 60 hertz. You don't need anything crazy. These are just for productivity. Also no G-Sync. I think we'll be all right. All right, audio. This year, or I guess what, like December, the Go XLR was launched and it was touted to be the first all-in-one audio device for streamers. And if you ask me, they absolutely nailed it. It is absolutely one of my favorite devices I own, and it's just incredible for not only high quality mic audio, but also just stream mixing in general. You've got the absolute necessities for your mic built into it, like compression, EQ, and noise gate. All these things being done on the device itself, so it's not pulling resources from either your gaming or your streaming PC. You've got a mixer with built-in motorized faders, so you can have different mixes actually saved to profiles that you can switch between. The faders will switch where you need them to go to, and it's got the necessary I/O built in to make setting up audio for a 2 PC setup basically idiot-proof. And then of course for fun content creation, you've got a voice changer and a sampler. I'm not sponsored by Go XLR in any way. I just think a good product deserves solid recognition, and I'm not opposed to a sponsorship. Throwing that out there. Going into the Go XLR, I'd probably plug a high-end dynamic mic, like for example the Rode Procaster. I love the Blue Kiwi that I use right now. It is beautiful. It sounds amazing. It's probably the most expensive mic anybody's using on Twitch right now. But dynamic mics in general do cater for a better streaming experience. They're a little more on axis, meaning your voice has to be right in front of the microphone. It shuts out any side sounds. It shuts out distant sounds. So things like your mouse and keyboard clicks, people in distant rooms, they're not going to be picked up as much into your microphone. However, at the moment, I don't plan on giving up my Kiwi anytime soon. As for my listening experience, obviously my audio would be coming into the Go XLR. I'm a very active person. I like walking around, moving around. I like playing guitar and being able to be active on stream, and so wireless headphones are a huge plus for me. I currently use the SteelSeries Arctis Pro Wireless. I love them. The main reason I go with those instead of like HyperX Cloud Flights is that it comes with a little mix amp device that has an aux in on the back. So the way this works is you go out of the headphone jack of the Go XLR directly into the aux input of the SteelSeries mix amp device, and then the mix amp now turns into basically just a wireless transmitter for my headphones. It's not really processing or doing anything else. There is at least one other wireless headset that can do the same thing. The Astro A50s also have an aux input on the back of their base station. If you want to use wireless headset with a Go XLR, you need to use something that has some kind of line input or aux input on it. Cool. Let's talk cameras. I currently have two massive full frame cameras doing my visual bidding on stream, but there are a couple things that I would considerably change if I were to start from scratch. One of these cameras has an extremely wide field of view. The other camera has a very narrow focal length, giving two incredibly different extreme shots. I do this because I love the juxtaposition between the two. I love switching back and forth and just getting that drastic change. It's one of those things that even if a viewer knows nothing about cameras, it's so blaringly obvious that you just can't ignore it. I also just really like the extreme shots, going from extreme wide angle to extreme extreme shallow depth of field. I like putting stuff on there that just you can't find anywhere else on Twitch. I love going with full frame sensor cameras because, well, one, they're professional cameras and they just look absolutely amazing. But two, when you have a larger sensor, you naturally get a larger field of view. So the wide becomes ultra wide, and the narrow field of view, you're able to get that shallow depth of field without closing in too narrow. For example, on my narrow camera, I'm using about a 35mm focal length. If we were doing that on a crop sensor camera, really I would get nothing but my chin to my forehead, even with the camera posted up 2 feet behind my desk. It allows me to get those narrow shots with that really pronounced bokeh background blur without closing in the shot too tight. Really, best of both worlds here. For my main camera, I would probably stick with the EOS R that I'm currently using now. It's this one actually we're looking at, with a Rokinon 14mm f2.8 lens. That's the super wide angle lens. That's my current wide angle camera right now. But for my narrow camera, I'm currently using a Canon 5D Mark IV. I'd probably switch that for the Canon EOS RP. Basically, it's just a simpler, more affordable version of the EOS R, and I think it would work great for streaming. On that camera, I'd probably throw Canon's 35mm f1.4 lens for a super pronounced shallow depth of field. Most people have been running Sonys in their streams lately, and I totally get that. They're much simpler to use. They all have clean HDMI outs. They all run indefinitely with no problems. They're a lot easier. It seems like the features are more catered to streamers. However, there's one thing right now absolutely keeping me with Canon. Sonys don't have a flip out screen, and that drives me insane. I use these cameras when I'm not streaming. I use them to film YouTube videos. I take them out with me to go vlog. I shoot a lot of stuff where the camera's pointing at me. I can't understand why Sony hasn't started adding a flip out screen to their cameras. It's a legitimate deal breaker for me, but the moment Sony comes out with a camera with a flip out screen like that, I will take a look. Maybe second guess sticking with Canon. Both of these cameras I set on the left side, mostly because the right side of my room has the lights. It's the most aesthetically pleasing to look at. I would like a third camera on the right side of my desk pointing in the opposite direction, allowing me to set up a green screen behind me that you only see from that screen. That way the two left cameras can get my room. I love showing my room, decorating the room, giving the viewers a little bit of a perspective and context into where I'm sitting. They feel like they're in the room with me. And then having that third camera with a green screen that's not visible from the original shots. If you can get both a room and a green screen shot, it's gonna open up doors to do some really creative stuff with your content. That camera wouldn't really have to be anything special, either like a Sony A5100 or maybe another Canon EOS RP. Either one would work just fine. All three of these cameras would be mounted to the desk, so whether the desk is in standing mode or sitting mode, you get the same shot either way. Also, all three of them are feeding into the Magwell Quad HDMI capture card. This is a professional capture card that actually has 4 HDMI inputs, all of them able to capture 1080p, 60 frames per second. This allows me to capture all three cameras with a fourth open slot for anything special or creative I feel like throwing on there, whether it's a ceiling camera or maybe a camera pointing at, we've talked about putting a camera pointing at like a 3D printer that can print stuff off while we're streaming. Either way, I like having options available in one available HDMI slot just to see if we have any ideas in the future. Then to light myself to make sure I actually look good on camera, we'd pick up some Elgato key lights. For my background lighting, I currently use those RGB floodlights that I've talked a lot about in videos, but what I'd like to try are the LifeX beams. Everybody's using nanoleafs to the point where they're super expensive, but they don't really stand out anymore because too many people use them. The LifeX has this really cool beam that has kind of that same fluid lighting coloring effect. I'd like to give them a shot. They've kind of got some nasty reviews for looking cheap, but I'll give them a shot and let you know how I like them. One other thing I'd really like to do with the cameras is set that super wide angle one on a motorized slider. Edelkrone has a motorized slider setup that's really cool. It's super compact, so you can fit it anywhere. And when it gets to the end, it just slowly stops and then turns around and goes back in the other direction. So we can continually have a camera sliding back and forth, giving a really cool parallax effect to that camera angle. But I just think having a slowly shifting camera angle on stream would look absolutely amazing. By the way, how tired do I sound right now? It's like 6 in the morning. I didn't procrastinate. I had to stream today. Couldn't film it until after the stream. Streaming longer than I meant to. It was irresponsible. let's keep going. Streaming peripherals. I know some of you guys were waiting for this. My current mouse is a Logitech G502 Lightspeed, the wireless one. I'm absolutely in love with it. I don't have a huge preference in keyboards in general, but right now I'm running the Bloody Gaming B930, which has their light strike switches, which is a really cool technology. I'm also running a 2PC USB switcher, so I have both my mouse and my keyboard plugged into this USB switcher. When I hit a button, it switches from one PC over to the other, so I can use one set of mouse and keyboards for both PCs. I know there's software for this, like one of it's called Synergy, I think, is a software for using a single mouse and keyboard over multiple screens and multiple PCs. But when you get into really weird monitor setups, like ultra wide vertical monitors, apparently it just bugs out and it can't handle it. I can't believe we don't have the tech for that yet. I'm just waiting for someone to build something right. If you know something, let me know. Of course, there's an Elgato Stream Deck XL next to me. I absolutely love my Stream Deck. I do all my transitions through it. A lot of advanced stuff in OBS using the multi-event function in the Stream Deck. Also, I think eye trackers are really awesome and they provide options for really fun content. We just actually shot a YouTube video today using the eye tracker. It'll be live on my personal YouTube channel in the next couple weeks here. So throw that eye tracker on the bottom of the monitor for good content. And that's pretty much everything. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. I mean, I guess have a VR headset ready to go on standby, and I guess that's what that fourth HDMI input could be. A camera for really getting a solid VR stream where the camera's mounted behind you, not you watching through the POV. I like I'm just like coming up with this stuff after the video is supposed to be over. But yeah, I guess that's it. If there's anything you think I missed, go ahead and toss it in the comments down below. If anything surprised you and you have some more questions, leave that in the comments down below as well. There's always new tech coming out for streaming, and you can guarantee I will be reviewing as much as I can on this channel and seeing if I would add it to my dream stream setup. If you want some in-depth stuff to this at all, you can always visit my Twitch channel and hang out with me there. Again, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, link in the description below. Also, you can talk to an amazing community if you want to meet some people and discuss your dream stream setup. Link to that Discord server down in the description below. Also, you can just go to discord.gg/alphagaming. And as always, happy streaming.
200 bits. How can I grow my Twitter? I'd like to bring a community from there to my Twitch. What? What is... Oh. You had that on the whole time?
I had it on for a long time.